All right. We're live. All right. We just lost internet. All right. Let's buy a little time, put on a song. Todd Medina, SoulogyOneStudios. What's going on here? Democracies, aristocracies, oligarchies, monarchies, hierarchies, presidents and popes. What's the real dope? What's this all about? Faith, hope, doubt? That's all that earth stuff, man. I am a multi-dimensional, high-vibrational, evolutionary being, and I'm tired of hiding it. I am soul. I don't care who or what tried or is trying to deceive us. Call it the devil or another's Messiah, prophet, or God. It's all the same to me. Whoever they are, they can never take our souls, and that's when we came here to learn. From the burn of being wrong, denying who we are, taking orders, lawless laws, a branded existence, but not anymore. I am divinity. Yeah. All right. The power we hold to mold the future, heavenly nirvana. From the inside, present, eternal. It's time to be a bolder flame. The game isn't the same. We are the spirit science synthesis, the action of conscious thought, alignment, transmuting to a living wisdom. Yeah. No longer dreaming the life, I am living the dream. All right, hang on. I have a few technical difficulties. Let's see. All right. Just waiting on Maddie. Yeah, I'm online. I mean, we're on the show. How's it going, everybody? Just waiting on Maddie. Oh, here she is. All right. Okay. Oh, let's see. Hang on. I got you. All
yeah,
right.
I can see you. Yay!
Yeah, I can see you too.
Woo! Congratulations, you made it, Todd.
I know. It's only 14 minutes late. I thought it was an hour from now.
Oh, okay. You got gazumped by the time zone theory.
Yeah, so I was I was laying down just for a few minutes, and then I was going to go milk the goat and feed the animals, and for my friend who left today.
And then you had oh my God moment.
I know, and I just got my clothes out of the dryer. So I was like, oh man, when you hit me up, I thought she's off an hour, and then I asked Morgan, she goes, no, you're supposed to be on right now.
Oh, there you
So
go.
what's been happening? We had a couple of disconnects. We couldn't get together, but you doing all right? What's going on over there?
Well, you know, really the timing is perfect because you probably hear me cough occasionally. It's just a little tickle. I had the virus that seems to be going around the planet.
Really?
Which actually, there's a well, at least in New Zealand, but I've heard of people coming back to New Zealand from the UK and they have it, and it's this. It's definitely more than a cold. I don't know that it's a flu. I just don't know. But what was unusual about it for me is that, and this is kind of relevant to our discussion. It's not just me going on about having a virus. What's relevant is that I didn't catch this from anybody. It just came out of nowhere. And I haven't had a virus for years. Like, I think 2. I really don't know how long it's been. I can't remember since I had a cold. My husband has had the odd cold, and it's just like, yeah, whatever. And I don't catch it, So my immunity's in really good shape. But this one I did get. And I thought, well, this is interesting. And I had a real sense of it being an energetic calibration. And honestly, it's just given me so many gifts. And you think, well, what gifts were they, Maddie? And right now it's like, it was really interesting being able to use the tools that I have been working with solidly since April, a little bit before that. I work with Dr. Joe Dispenza's body of work. And there's a particular meditation called Blessing of the Energy Centers, which really just induces coherence, amongst other things. And I used that because I couldn't do anything else because I couldn't do much else. But what I discovered was that I would sit down and I'd be all, and I do the meditation and I feel better. It was just, it's all from the statement that I heard somebody who healed themselves with something, amazing and scary and unhealable. Oh, that's right. They had this really bad pain condition. I mean, it was horrendous. And it didn't happen in 5 minutes, this lady, but I remember her saying, I realized all pain is incoherence. And that is like, whoa, wind the tape back.
All pain. Incoherent.
Incoherence. And incoherence is defined as with the brain. An incoherent brain is when and this is normal, by the way. We are normally incoherent. Well, maybe it's not a normal state of being, but when you have, like when they do one of those electroencephalograms, so they have all the electrodes on the brain, the electrodes measure the different compartments. And when you see the strip chart that's produced by that machine, that test, you see all the peaks and troughs of the waves that the little compartments of the brain are putting out. And when the brain is incoherent, they're all 6s and 7s, none of the peaks and troughs line up. When the brain becomes coherent, they all go up and down together. That's the first thing that happens. And then, you go from the sort of normal, like beta brain waves is what we're doing now. And alpha is when you relax, and then you go into theta, and the brain slows down. You start being able to access your autonomic nervous system and the subconscious, and really amazing stuff happens. But it was just really interesting, practically seeing what being in this state of physical imbalance, having this experience with a virus. I will not say that I was sick, because it was just like this massive healing experience, really. And doing this work and thinking, okay, and feeling the physical difference that it made to be coherent. It was incredible.
So how long did it take you to get realigned?
Well, that particular meditation takes 42 minutes. Mm-hmm. And it's good afterwards if you just put your feet up for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes afterwards. I mean, I often get really deep in those 42 minutes. All that happens is you go through the 7 energy centers of the body from the bottom to the top, and then there's another one up here, and then you broadcast energy around you, and it's an amazing, it's a lovely process, and it's guided, and it's absolutely based on science and evidence. And it's so spiritual, really, it's amazing. And so, I do that, and then I put my feet up for 5 or 10 minutes just to let my autonomic nervous system have some time to deal with the instructions that I've given it. Because what you really do is you focus on the matter of the center, yes, and then you focus on the energy around it. You let your focus go of the matter, and you bring in some elevated emotion, and you have an intention to bless the energy center, and then you let it go, because the autonomic nervous system runs, is this self-organizing intelligent. It doesn't need me to help. It actually needs me to get out of the way. And when I'm
just like everything else on this trip.
Oh
right?
yeah. So
You know,
so it's really, really cool. It's really cool.
Hey Cameron, there's Cameron I met today. Amir Beth's here. Amir Beth sent us some new shirts. I just want to point that out.
Oh, nice. Mary
Isn't that
Beth.
cool?
It's awesome.
Amir Beth, wisdomwear.org. She's coming out with some new
Nice.
merchandise.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. 3/4. Oh, yeah, we're feeding the animals. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I can't you're multitasking, man.
We have been through 30 days of whirlwind days, 32 or 33 days. So we're just finally settling down. So I'm a little bit out of it, but I think this is a great subject. I really do. I think this is a great subject. Today, this thing about yeah, you're right. Yeah. So today I was feeding the animals and I felt something come in, right? I felt something come in that in the physical world would be like a bug or something like that. And I know I did. And so as I was doing what I was doing, which was mostly milking the goat, I was integrating with it. Like I could feel it. So I was not allowing it's something that and so that you bring it up, it's not a coincidence, right?
No.
So basically this started for me, I'm sure prior to, but it was late 2016, early 2017. I was in New York City and it was a lot of snow, right?
Yeah.
And I was traveling a lot. So I was hot and cold temperatures. I was on the subway a lot. That was exposed to a lot of things.
Yes.
So
everything.
my friend who I was staying with for a little while, he would always carry that, that waterless soap,
which is
not supposed to be hand sanitizer, right?
Yeah.
So he would always carry that, and I would say to him, dude, we're on this path of integrating, coalescing everything, and yet you're washing your hands. I'm not judging you, but I'm just saying I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I was traveling the subway, and I would like put my hand on the bar, when you hold yourself up, and I and say to myself, there are thousands of people touch this, all their energy and physical and non-physical is there, and I would just, I don't know, somehow I would just do what you're talking about doing. I would just integrate with it, which is what I did today, and I could feel it come into balance, right?
Yeah, it's like I don't need to fight with this. I don't need to have a problem with this.
Yeah. I could actually feel it because at one point, I think Morgan came out and I said, I'm feeling a little funny. And I told her about it, and I said, but I can tell that I'm still working on it, but I can tell that I'm getting real close to balancing it out. And sometimes when I've done that, it'll still be in the field, like it'll still be there, and like maybe come knock on the door again, a lot like our loops and our shadows and our circumstances, but it's lighter, and you just take it and you just, I'm not saying
you just say, I'm not going to resonate at that frequency.
Right.
Is really fundamentally, this process that I do, and it's not the only one I do, but that I was doing when I was unwell, is very much about saying, well, I'm going to elevate my frequency. I'm going to balance. I'm going to make my brain and my heart coherent, so that the more you do that, the less the disorder can be there, because the disorder happens because there's an incoherent signal going through my body, and so the virus disrupts things. But so, this is the other thing, and I just want to, because it's all part of it, is that you and I have both had our normals disrupted in the last little while, and I knew when this came in, I thought, all my patterns are being bumped out. It's all being, broken up, and I thought, I know that's part of what this is about. This is really good. Yeah.
No, I agree. And so what I find interesting, of course, there's a distinction here. There's some people that I have great respect for, all people, but I mean, these people that come in and have evidently chosen to have a chronic condition or, a lifelong illness. And so that's kind of a, interesting thing. But so I'm really talking about what we're talking about and understanding, because really, I guess as this has happened, through learning about energy and how to work with energy with Morgan, which is what she does, as I started to do this on the physical level with what we call germs or whatever you want to call it, I started to, just basically treat it the same way that I'd learned through her how to integrate, energies, how to integrate polarities. It's the same thing. There's just a more physical, I'm going to say it's the other's not physical, but it's a more physical experience because it involves your body. And I think this is an interesting conversation because it is the same thing as equalizing a pattern or removing a pattern or replacing a pattern of behavior, however you want to put it.
Absolutely. It's the same process, like you say, but you are working at a different frequency. Now, this is something that I just heard Joe say yesterday again, which it makes so much sense to me now, and it didn't for a long time. What is it? The field, frequency, energy emits matter. Matter doesn't emit frequency. We get it back to front. We think, here's a rock. It's got a resonance. I feel the energy of the rock. No, it's the field that actually emits the matter.
Yeah.
And so it's like he says, you don't want to mess with the tumor. Leave the tumor alone. The tumor is the outworking. It's the result of something that's happening in the person's energy field. Change the field, you change matter. Yeah. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting because you're talking about people with chronic conditions or even genetic conditions, and seeing that they can actually change them with this science and this process that he is.
I mean, look at Wheelchair Mama or Willy Mama. That's Sarah Griffith.
No, I don't. Yeah, tell me.
She wasn't supposed to walk. I think she has
muscular dystrophy.
I'm not really quite sure. Pretty severe though. Was never supposed to walk. I mean, she's had a family. It's an incredible story. She's found a relationship, a divine union. I mean, it's just amazing. So you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'll go back to the thing about the field. I have not spent much time at all listening to Joe Dispenza or anybody else. That's just my path. I don't know. I know who he is. I've heard a lot about him. I was actually talking to someone about him a couple of days ago. But I understand. I understand enough of what he's talking about to understand what you're talking about. Now, this thing about the field, I think is really important because if you can imagine a field, that field is almost like a blank chalkboard. Okay,
it is totally blank.
You know what I mean?
It's infinite potentials.
Yeah, and we filled it in. So we filled it in, and at this level of visual perception, what we can see is up to this point as humans, for the most part, is what's been created in that field. But there's also stuff in that field that we don't see.
Oh my God, there's so much.
Yeah. That we're starting to see.
Yes.
I got over here to my friend's place and I got covered in fairies, and I just walked out a while ago and I'm like, I kept seeing stuff moving. I said, I had to go back inside, I keep seeing stuff moving around, But this is what's happening. The unveiling, the unveiling is more than just, for a long time it was all about, what are we going to see? Then we realized it was all about us, but it's also going to have a parallel in the external of what we're actually going to see in the field. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. So I'm going to unpack this a little bit. And I feel like a plagiarist. Really, I do. But it's just that you see, it's I totally relate to you, Todd, how there are certain sources of information that resonate with you and which you tune into, and everything else is like, no, that's not on my, my receiver doesn't even receive that, because I am very much the same. And at the moment, my bandwidth is just tuned to what Joe is teaching, or rather what his body of work and what he and his team, because they are a team, are delivering to the planet. And I'll be honest, this is what I think they're doing. I think, sounds so funny saying it, I think they are part of facilitating the second coming of Christ. Now, bear me out here. They are teaching people how to do miracles of biblical proportions. We are talking about deaf people hearing and blind people seeing, some of them from birth, people healing congenital conditions and strokes and terminal cancer and, things that do not get better, hundreds of them. And the fact that the science has been unpacked now, and it's a formula, and he says it's a formula. If you do the formula, it is, we can't say how long it's going to take, but we can say that if you keep doing the formula, it works. And it's all about the fact that, well, it's not all about, the piece that I'm remembering now is about the fact that what we see, visible wavelength of light, right? And there is a template in our bodies, which is in light. If you want to change something, you have to get up past the speed of light, and you can only do that as pure consciousness in the field. You got to stop being a body, a person, anything material. You got to stop being in any place in any time. You got to become pure consciousness and go into the place where all possibilities exist. And this, of course, I rave about now because I know what this place is like, and I know how fabulous it is there. And it's not even that I see lots of visions. It really is like a blank slate. But I feel myself there. It's amazing. There's so much.
Well, if you think
about,
if you think about, absolutely. Someone's got no sound. Just go out and come back in. Of course, they can't hear me say that. but it's a lot like whatever you want to call it. You could call it meditation. Visualization, connecting, communion. But it's a lot like that to me. So what happens is you close your eyes most of the time, and I see like a blank screen. I'll say, is there anything I need to receive? Anything, and there's like a blank screen, and then things start to come in, right? So I see it a lot like that. And I think it's important what you're saying too. It's important what you're saying too about their work, his team's work, because there is an integration of the physical and the non-physical that we're all doing here. And so however that comes out, like what you do, what I do, is also doing the same thing they're doing. It's different. It's still the energy of intention, of pure love, of service to self, of service to community. And man, it's to me, the real reason that we came down here, that we
manifested ourselves here.
That's right. Yeah, that we're here because why get all this information and have all this awareness just to find out you're God again? We're here.
That's why. Because it is that moment of, oh my God, this is who I am. Wow.
Yeah. Now, what do we do with it?
Because and that's what comes afterwards, Yeah,
because what's happening right now in this second, and I hear people say, "Oh, everything happened in the same." No, there's a reason we're conscious here. 99.99% of our consciousness has been here in this thick, dense experience. So there's something that we're doing, that we're transforming, transmuting, converting, expanding. We're expanding in ourselves, and if we're expanding in ourselves, we're expanding this universe. It's a new experience, and so it's like you get that information, like, let's make the best of it now, which is, I think, what a lot of people are starting to do, and that's exciting, including Joe Dispenza's team and you.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I honestly don't think very much, sounds terrible, about the wider context of what is happening in the world. I observe, I notice, and I kind of see what people tell me about. Wow. And maybe occasionally I'll see something on Facebook, but in a way I've got my eyes I've got my eyes focused on what I have in front of me to do, because I don't have very much slack to look at anything else. So my attention a lot of the time is like a laser, because where my attention goes, there my energy goes. That's it. And, you know, the 5% of me that is conscious and aware has to choose what to pay attention to and how to instruct and change and shape the 95% of me that I am not aware of. You know, there's 5% in the thinking or conscious mind and 95% in the emotions and in the body. And we got to get those two lined up.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really starting to understand that's, if you like, that's my little, I don't know, my piece of the picture.
That's your piece of the puzzle.
That is my piece of the picture, because there is, you know, this is where I feel I fit, I suppose, at least at the moment, because this is going to come out wrong, whichever way I say it, so I'll say it. Because I feel like I've been looking for my place in the puzzle for some time, right? Even what the puzzle piece was, hell, I didn't know that for a long time. Now I have this sense that I'm really good at taking fabulous things that really work and helping people translate them into practice. Because where people often fall over, even with something as fantastic and utterly life-changing as Joe Dispenza's body of work, which anybody can do, and it doesn't cost a lot, and all you have to do is apply yourself, really, truly. And honestly, there's a person, I haven't even spoken to him, but there's a connection in a story, a man right now who is healing himself from ALS on his own. And ALS does not get better. But he's healing himself from ALS just because I was able to wave a flag and say to the person that's speaking to him, hey, do this, you know.
Right.
And he's picked it up and run with it, and it's amazing, you know. Wow, I get to help with that. But that's not really what I'm talking about. My piece is often people say, well, I want to do this, but I can't work out how to fit it in my life, and I encounter all this resistance, and I'm struggling to actually get on with it. And that process of, you know, there's so much resistance in me and I don't understand what's triggering me and I can't find my way through it. I'm really good at that, and not through analysis paralysis, because I don't really care about the story, either mine or yours. I don't really care about why. I'm not interested in why I've responded that way for the last 20 years. I just want to find a better way to respond now.
Yeah,
I want to work out who's the best version of me and how I'm going to, you know, do that now. And it often comes down to really astonishingly simple things once you help a person actually unpack what their resistance is. Yeah. And I mean, you can do that all on your own just with those meditation processes. If you are dedicated, you will get through the shit. But because I've seen people do it. But I'm just aware that I'm good at helping them accelerate that. And that's what I'm really good at.
That's perfect.
So, you know, it's so exciting to do.
Well, and I think it goes back to the other thing. There's some comments here I'm gonna cover real quick that are all along the same lines. But you know, it goes back to the old thing about Jesus. You know, Jesus did not perform miracles. Jesus witnessed miracles. Through his energetic field, people were able to see themselves, and these things took place. Now, this is a human description of what occurred, but what I'm getting at is just like with the man you're talking about, and a couple of these comments I'm going to read, it's the belief that we have. It's like the placebo effect.
It's totally the placebo effect.
Right.
Absolutely.
So this is, to me, breaking it down with more specificity to the energetic, which is what this is all about. You call it consciousness. I think that's a good word. But energy is another word. I like consciousness too, because that gives me like, okay, who's listening? Who's actually listening to Todd?
Yeah, who's paying attention? Yeah, consciousness.
So Wendy Gale, I'm sorry if I messed your name up. She says, I've experienced cancer, but I'm still on 3 MF methyls monthlies or something like that. I will be for the rest of my life. I've refused to let them take my lymph nodes. I'm thriving as I am the creator of my experience. And I see myself as healthy, and thank the cancer for bringing me closer to my remembering that I'm a conscious creator and can transform anything. Geraldine, our friend in Ireland, she says, I had a heart pain, went to the doctor. She wanted to put a monitor, said my blood pressure monitor on me, and gave me medication. I said, no, I'll come back. Within 2 weeks, everything was back to normal. Energies was high. I was right on her. Her mouth was wide open and gave her an awakening.
Yeah.
Kimberly White Wolf, I had a malignant lymphoma, huge tumor. It is now gone. The cancer was not mine. I was healed. The tumor disappeared within 20 minutes of my healing.
Wow.
Erin Lee talks about she's struggling with an illness similar to MS. There's some support being given there. So there's a lot of comments coming in now. I can't read them all. So
yeah, because this is a hot topic, right? I never thought we'd be talking about this today.
Well, this is how it works. But you know, Ingrid Esme, that beautiful lady from Norway that comes on with her no BS approach.
Yeah, even no BS, honestly.
She had cancer 3 times, and she had near-death experiences, and she had abusive relationships and such, and pain, you know, suffering.
And so that's how it manifested in the body.
This is how she shifted her life, was by you know, and I know this is, it might sound a little bit diametrically opposed to what a couple of these comments were, but she says, that is mine. Thank you, cancer. Thank you for this experience. So she integrated it in that way, which is really interesting.
Can I speak to that for a bit? Yeah, again, not pretending I've done the research about this, but this is what I've seen quite a few people telling these stories now, and I've read, and it's science, right? I love science. I've always really been a pragmatist. And I think the reason why I'm so excited about this work I'm doing right now for myself, apart from the fact that I've actually got tangible results, which is like, whoa, is peer-reviewed science, and it's replicatable, right? So the theory goes like this. When you are in the emotions of survival, which are anger, fear, you know, stress, basically, because the brain is incoherent, there's incoherent messages being sent down the spinal cord to the rest of the body. And it's not just the, you know, electrical stuff, it's electromagnetic, it's light, it's the biophotons. There's a lot of science about how communication within the body and within the cells is quantum. The receptors on the cells, order of magnitude, much more sensitive to electromagnetism than they are to chemistry. So when the brain is incoherent, and the heart is incoherent, by the way, when the heart's coherent, you're feeling elevated emotions. Really simple. You want a coherent heart, generate some coherent emotions, some love, empathy, caring, compassion, excitement, whatever, good things. So when you have an incoherent signal that continues to pour down from the brain, not just in thoughts, but in chemistry, then the body it's like static. And you don't have a clear, you don't have a clear instruction to the body about how to be healthy. And you've got all this chaos going on, and everything is just incoherent. And if you keep doing that, you're going to get disease. So in that way, I think Ingrid is speaking science, because the incoherent emotions and thinking literally after a while sets you up for disease. Again, the science says that. It's just a fact. And that's why, and it takes some time, it takes some work. That is why if we change the emotions and add to the emotion, you know, the emotion goes from being dark and I'm scared, I'm going to die. I mean, isn't that the first thing that everybody, you know, the fear of death comes up really big if you get the diagnosis, whatever it is. You got to face that, you got to overcome that and turn that into, I'm choosing to live, and I'm not going to believe what whoever says about my prognosis, and I'm going to generate peace, I'm going to generate love, I'm going to create, and there's ways to do that. But the more you do that, and the more you master your mind, and you learn to, first of all, let go of that survival focus, which is, I've got to find a solution. I've got, we focus on this thing and that person, and we look and we're constantly in that, I've got to run for my life to find an answer. When you get out of that and into the completely different state of being coherent and being in the field where you're focused on nothing, which means you're then connected to everything, then you get a really different signal, and then the body can start to heal. And that's literally how it works.
Well, there's a school of thought, and I don't remember where it came from. It's more than one place. Personal experiences, or doing this show with people, which is that the part of the contribution that the human species is making through this experience that we're having is that we are transformers, and that we are specifically transforming these negative emotions. You know, that we're taking these seeds of creation in a different form, in a dense form, which are these emotions, which they can't, the star families can't relate to, that the type of emotions that the humans have, and that what we're actually figuring out is how to take those emotions, and again, it's not about separation, but to actually take them and transform them into a conscious, creative expression and experience.
Yeah, it's literally a kind of alchemy. Because what happens is the energy gets stuck in the body.
Yeah.
And the incoherent energy. And you have these people that their belly is full of rage, or their lungs are full of sorrow, or there's so much fear in their gut. And this literally, it's stuck there. And when you start to release that energy from the body, it goes back up to the brain where you can actually do something useful with it, and your field starts to light up. And you do get these many now instantaneous changes, because the person's got out of that the frequency of light and below, and they've gone into the field where things are faster than the light, and they get new information. They get a download, and the blueprint is changed, and then the body goes, oh, okay, I can do something different now. It's very cool. And to actually have done it myself, quite sort of, oh, really? I just know that's changed now. Oh, and it has, because you know that you know that you know.
And I think
it's awesome.
I think the collective, I think both the universal energy that's, and however you want to talk about it, science or spiritual, you could say it's the divine feminine frequency that's been resurrected or expanded or risen, or however you want to put it, or you could talk about it in science, the universal energy, be it the frequencies from the sun, right, electromagnetics and this and that. And so you take that, what seems to be some type of external thing, and then you take also the expansion of the collective awareness of the planet, or enough people on it, that it's supporting these turnarounds, it's supporting this alchemy, it's supporting these things, but it still goes back, like everything else, like you said, everything's can be replicated, that that we are the programmer. So whatever that may be, whatever that may be, and maybe we had more interference in the past, and we can talk about the science of it. We can talk about what we might call the spiritual part of it, but we may have had some interference. We don't seem to have that now. It seems to be leaving very rapidly. We can actually work with the energy. We can work with the field, going back to the way you described at the top of the show. We can work with it and see immediate results. I think this is the instant manifestation that we've all been, waiting for.
I think consciousness has shifted to the extent that, if you like, the veil's a lot thinner. And also, many people have now run the equivalent of a 4-minute mile. And it's no longer that's utterly impossible. It's more like, oh, that person did that, and that person did that, and that person did that. How can I do this too? It's a lot easier to blaze a trail when you know that it's been done before. It's like the footprints have been left in the field.
Yeah.
It's really hard to ignore evidence.
Well, I mean, and even if we're not conscious of it, because energetically, thresholds have been reached and crossed, right?
So it's more available.
There's been level ups, and those energetic patterns are out there in the field in a more formidable manner. And so we consciously pick up on it. We unconsciously, it's there. I think the key, and I know because we're talking about physical viruses, illnesses, things, and so on. But it does go back to what you said at the beginning too, which was just get out of the way. The body is on autopilot, man. I mean, it was on a perfect, autopilot of a higher perfection, or whatever you want to call it. Something came in, everything got changed, but now we are actually able to program it consciously in many different ways, and there's a lot of different methods. I know my subway method, I could never really teach that to anybody, but I know what happens inside of me, and it's not a lot of verbalization. It's more of a visualization of a visualization of being the field, basically.
Yeah.
Like of not divorcing myself from any part of it and saying, "Oh, that's not me," or "Get out of here." No. Yeah.
And so, I bet if you did some measurements, and here I am extrapolating wildly, right? But I guarantee, really, because it only works this way, that when you do that process, that's your way to get to calm your conscious analytical mind, to get centered, to get calm, to connect with everything. And there you are in deep alpha or theta, and you can talk to you, and because you're there, you're literally, you're not even in the conscious part of the brain anymore. All the energy goes into the center of the brain, which is like the second brain, the limbic brain, which is the one that's hooked up with the autonomic nervous system. And so when you start operating in there, everything lines up, and we don't have to say, I want, if you go through the numbers of what's happening in your cells every second, they're numbers with lots and lots of zeros on the end about how many enzymatic reactions and how many cells get replaced. And, it's crazy numbers. That self-organizing intelligence wants us to be alive. And so when we get into that operating system, like you say, you change the program, right? Yeah. But we don't do it by saying, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be, it's like you have to marry that up with the emotion, with the felt experience, the visceral thing of, oh, this is how it feels to be really whole and well and good. And of course, the fun part is feeling that way, generating that emotional and visceral experience, perhaps when your body is saying you're going to die, or your finances are really scary, or, you're facing some really big mountain. That's the challenge for us, is to take our attention off all of those things that we have collapsed into reality, out of the field of limitless possibilities, and said, these are the possibilities that I can actually see. These are equal to my state of being right now. To take our attention off all of that. Because when you take your attention off something, I mean, this is a scientific thing. The quantum physicists discovered this. You observe an electron and there it is. But as soon as you stop looking at the electron, you look over there, that electron vanishes and goes back to being possibility.
Right.
So there's a real value in taking our attention off the very things that we think, I got to fix this. I got to, or this running around in tight circles trying to fix a problem. No, take your attention off it. If there's nothing you can do, if there's something you can do, go and do it. But most of us have just got our wheels spinning going, I got to fix this. I got to fix this. This is really bad. I'm going to die, Take your attention off that.
Yeah. And even on off the topic of what we're talking about. In other words, could be global things happening globally, could be
absolutely
family problems, could be relationship.
Totally.
So you break it down back to simplicity. Of course, the body part of it, the physical body, really makes it a very dense.
It does. It's really hard to ignore.
Yeah. So because
ignore's the wrong word.
But like you said, everything is replicated, right? You know what I mean? Like Morgan says, a copy is a copy is a copy. So if that's the case, like we go through it every day. So we had a situation where we were having something that was coming up in our field. We had crossed a threshold seemingly in another threshold. So this isn't a physical bodily, virus or something like that, but this is energy we're talking about.
So and you're feeling it, right?
Yeah, of course. So you're like, okay, so instead of he did this and she did that, or we need to do this or we need to do that, it became, why is this happening?
What's really going on here?
But it's the same process that you're talking about. It's the same thing. So we can actually control our experience. Now, at the most dense level, it's our body. At the most dense level, it's our body. But if we can, as many people are starting to do, we can start to transform our lives and our experience, then it would only make sense to me at some point, because of our level of skill, that we're going to be able to start seeing the immediate results, like these people we're talking about, like you've experienced, to include regressing in age, and healing organs and, you know, all kinds of stuff.
It's being done in real time. And, you know, as much as I can say, yeah, I did have this thing where I knew that had changed and I knew that had changed. Also, I see that my own process is, and I expected this. I really did. Because I kind of, you know, long story, but it was not a limitation. It's just, I know this is how it works. That every day I send another signal to my body. Every day I get a bit more of an upgrade. Every day I get better at being coherent and at holding the state of being that I desire. Therefore, I'm becoming more coherent over time. Therefore, my body's going to heal over time. And that is exactly what I've seen. You know, my autoimmunity is dropping. Really, you know, it's very cool. And this is, you know, the instant stuff is really fun. But what I see, and this is not to say that one or other is better or worse. What I see is that, no, it's not what I see. What I feel, this is a gut feeling only, because I have no evidence about this at all, is that sometimes, at least, I think the people who have huge breakthroughs, massive shifts, you know, and they've been working at something sometimes for months or years, and then bang, there's this massive shift, you know, and this totally incurable thing goes away instantly. I think sometimes for those people, it's because the level of resistance that they were facing in themselves was so enormous that they had to do all that work to create enough momentum at a cellular level and an energetic level to get to critical mass where it tips. Mm-hmm. Whereas for some of us, for some others of us, I think the incremental, you know, you can just chip away at it. It's not even that we've got less internal resistance. It's just that we construct it differently inside. And it's more like we have to overcome ourselves in that incremental fashion rather than pushing against a brick wall until it finally falls over. I think it's just about the different construction of people, the kinds of experiences that have got stuck in their bodies, you know, how much momentum there is in it, how long it's been there, you know. Yeah.
Well, I think the main thing is that, and that's a good point too, by the way. Jesse just made a comment. What I was thinking the same thing. Happens in an instant, even if it takes years. Well, I think with the linear thing disappearing, this is why it looks like, you know, it can appear to be, and it is much faster than it was in the past. And what might have taken somebody a long, long time, because they did it and others did it, somebody else can now step in and do it very quickly.
Yes, but, it's definitely going faster.
But, you know, this is another example specific to our experience. Some people feel stuff or experience something much more intensely than others. Mm-hmm. Could be involving the physical body, could be involving certain loops of traumas or drama or whatever you want to call it. But the fact is that each and every one of us start to take are taking more responsibility for the fact that we are conscious co-creators, and really we just we fix the world like you're talking about. You know, we want to run and fix it. We fix the world by fixing ourselves, and it just sounds almost cliche, but
there's nothing else to do. Yeah, actually,
we can do that in any part of our life.
Yes.
Like I had a guy on yesterday who's going to be at a conference we're going to be speaking at in January. And his forte, his piece, it has a lot to do with material abundance, specifically money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Money's useful.
Yes. We had a really nice conversation.
It's blessed.
But our approach or our experience or our place wasn't the same. But we still were able to have a conversation. I felt there was there was a level of balance and there was a level of expansion, because nothing was, from either party, it was like, okay, so what do you think? Instead of, I don't agree with you. You know what I mean?
So totally.
So what I'm getting at is that's our opportunity in these little experiences that we have, you know, like whether it be dealing with the physical disease or illness or virus, or whether it be with a bank account, or whether it be with, you know, whatever part of relationship, is finding that because it's all the same thing. It's all
it is all the same thing.
The same transformation.
You know, me, the fractal, the resonance, the thumbprint, the song, the whatever you want to call it, that is expressed in this gravitationally compressed light, which is what physical matter actually is, that people go, oh, that's Maddie Schafer. That collapses my entire universe into being. And so if I change my state of being profoundly enough, even by the, you know, by profound, I mean holistically, completely, properly. It doesn't, I don't have to, I don't have to make a big change. You know, if you're sailing on the ocean, you shift half a degree and another day you're going to be in a very different place. Profound change does not have to be massive, but it needs to be profound.
Well, that's what
so if I make a profound change in me, I change every atom in my universe, and that means I change everybody.
That's right.
That's how powerful we are.
That's right. So if you're, that's right. So, and again, it may look like it's this big of a change. It may look like it's this big of a change.
The ripple effect, man.
In the spectrum, it's the same. You're still aligning, you know, you're still aligning in the entire field. You know, it affects everything, you know.
If you really make that change, because we can make change and then kind of just go back to who we were.
Well,
many people do that.
Well, and we were talking about earlier that the universal energy is supporting this now. Something's changed collectively. We've hit a certain point, or whatever the case is. But this sounds like kind of fluffy love and light. Like, you know, like
yeah, we'll just lie back and the frequency will do it all for us. Yeah, nah.
But here's the thing. It is supporting us. And like Morgan says, love isn't always pretty. So what's happening? These things that are distorted are getting louder and louder and louder, be it a physical issue, be it a relationship, whatever it is. So you do make the change, and it does go into the entire field, but there's still these blocks or trouble spots or shadows that are getting louder and louder and louder. And that's why you see a lot of the expressions and projection out there, which is kind of interesting because we're elevating, but at the same time, what I'm seeing too and recognizing, I know others see it too, is that we're all moving through it so much faster, which would also convert to physical turnarounds, you know, physical illness turnaround.
It's very much faster than it was, for sure. Yeah. And the bit that I want to talk about, because this really makes sense to me now, you know, yes, there's a shift, and yes, it helps everybody make shifts, and yes, the more we grow, and I mean, I'm chuckling slightly because I talked about exactly that this morning, you know, 4 hours ago in my live. I'll tell you the story but I don't want to lose my thought. This thing that, you know, we've all had this. We've gone to some practitioner, therapist, healer, whatever, had a great time, come away feeling a lot better, or feeling, you know, oh, this is good, I know what to do. And then 3 days later, you're straight back to where you were, right? We've all had that experience at least once. Now, what's happened is, this is the current assessment according to Maddie of what's happened. You go and see somebody, they help you get coherent. Really, coherence feels good. So whether it's a Reiki treatment or a chiropractic, or you do an art workshop or whatever, you get in flow, you feel good, you know, all those good things. So that's great. And you experience a new level of self. But if you don't have things in place that when you go away from your workshop, or you go home from your treatment, or you whatever it is, to actually carry on practicing being that new being that you became, then the old habit of being who you are is most of the time going to come straight back. Because it's habitual. We don't think about it. So we have to be aware and think, oh, this is a new self. I like this. Now, how do I sustain this going forward? How do I, carry on doing this? And the story I told this morning very quickly was that, it's speaking exactly about what happens, when you're sort of becoming a new self, and you're imagining yourself in this new life that you're creating, and it's really cool. And then suddenly just all hell breaks loose, and it's like you're in a shitstorm. I use that word. And what's happening? This is just what fell into my head to describe it. You're used to living in a room, and it's like there's ropes attached to the walls, and they're long enough and stretchy enough, you can do whatever you like inside that room. But when you start imagining yourself in a different room, and you start walking towards the door, that's okay. You can move around inside the room. But when you get to the door and you want to walk through it into a different space, suddenly all those ropes are really tight. And it is at that very point when there is the most resistance and the most impossibility and the most things going wrong and everything, turning to crap in front of you, when the logical thing is to say, oh, well, obviously I haven't changed, I've failed, I need to go back to my drawing board and start again. This is saying, no, this is happening precisely because I'm coming up against my old self, which does not want to die. And I got to let some old parts of myself go. They're going to scream. They don't want to die. But I want to go into this next room. So that means I got to let go of these old ropes, and I got to become somebody else, behave differently, stop going back to my habitual feelings and my old, blame that, or be angry about that, or be sad about this, or worried or fearful about whatever. Say, no, I'm not going to inhabit that level of mind anymore. I'm not going to be that self. And that's when you walk into the new room, because you drop the ropes. You actually have to let the old self go.
Sure.
And it's challenging because it's habitual, and not just here. It's habitual here. The cells are all adapted to the biochemical state of being that you're used to being. And when you start to be somebody else who's happier, they say, I want my misery fixed. Where is it?
Yeah.
That's how it
Well,
works.
and I think some of what has perpetuated that has been the old guru, yogi, fortune teller type of frequency. I'm not throwing rocks at anybody. I'm just saying this is another thing that's happening, is what I would call, just for lack of a better way to say it, what I would call the new healer, the new 5D healer. It really isn't a healer anymore.
Yes.
But
No
the
healers,
person,
please.
right, but the mirror that the mirror that might represent a certain piece of the puzzle, like you talk about what yours is, shows that to another person
and empowers them to do it themselves.
Exactly. So there's
please.
So there's not this let me go back, and I will I'm probably throwing rocks here, and because I'm still working on myself, but that's why the frequency of the cards, when people go live on a video with the cards, and I'm not questioning their intention at all. What I watch that makes me uncomfortable, which is, now I realize something I need to work on myself, is the questions from the people. Oh, can you please do a reading for me? Oh, can you tell me about? It's like, to me, that's that old frequency. So what you're bringing up, I think part of that is being supported now, because our awareness has expanded more, and we're starting to recognize that we are our own healer. Physician, heal thyself.
There's nowhere else to look. And I have a passion, and I think down the track, who knows, I might end up somehow finding a way to teach people how to do this better. Whatever your modality, I don't care what that is, because it's all informed by the field, and it's all still a way for information to come from the field through you to whoever you're working with, right? Doesn't matter what you do. But what fires me up is seeing somebody, whatever modality they use, rather than saying, oh, well, this is going on and it was this life and blah, 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 asking the person who's asking the question the right question to help them find the answer in themselves. I am really passionate about that. I don't, because who the hell knows what's right for me or true for me except me? I don't want somebody to tell me. I want them to help me figure it out for myself.
Exactly.
And that's just,
Well, and if you look at the math in that, equation, in the old equation, you go back. It's
really slow.
But if you do what you're talking about, then you end up having this, they have a higher level of self-empowerment. and that actually is a catalyst for more expansion.
That's right. And then they empower more people. You know, it becomes this whole thing of being the most coherent, elevated, aligned, balanced, useful person that I can be.
Yeah.
And when you hold that space and people gravitate towards you because there's a resonant alignment, and that's why we need lots of people doing different modalities and different things, because there are people on the planet who are waiting for just you to show up and do what you do your way, and no one else can be there for them the way you do, right? So don't think, oh, well, I just read cards, okay? Absolutely. Everybody needs to do their thing.
And nothing against cards.
Empower.
I mean, I never used cards until, you know, I don't want to get into that, but they're definitely, in fact, a lot of people I talked to, you know, when they were first coming into their, you know, into their abilities, into their higher senses.
Great tool. It's awesome.
They started with tarot cards, you know.
Yeah.
So it's,
because they just work with archetypes. Same with runes, and, you know, all of these things. All that happens is that, you know, back in the whenever these things were first invented, people innately recognize the archetypes. They see them in the seasons. They see the universal patterns. And so what do people do? They try to capture them and say, well, here's a system. Let me use the system. Yeah. And the system is great when it helps you connect with the field. If it becomes the thing that says, well, we can't do that because the system is blah, 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 and you know, right. Mercury's here and Uranus is here and Jupiter's there, and that means that I can't do this and I can do that. I get a little bit toey about this. Like, oh, please, I'm sorry, they're a long way away. Don't tell me I have to do or not do something because of where the freaking planets are.
Yeah, I like what you said, because you said they're all instruments to collect to the field. That's the key.
Yes, it's all the same.
It can be, there's an infinite number of modalities,
infinite number of people,
methods that you can actually connect to that field. And that's, and I love what you said, don't get caught up on the system.
No, God.
And I think that's part of this change too that's happening, is there is
systems are falling to pieces.
What is it's kind of, and systems can be over attachment to astrology, over attachment.
They just become another freaking religion. They do.
Yeah.
People are absolutely religious about their systems because they work for this. It's like, oh my God, this was amazing. It changed my life. It's got to never be any different. And I have to tell the world about it. And they should all do like this. That just sounds like a religion to me. I've done it, by the way. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is what you said, that nobody can tell you. And that's another thing I need to work on. It aggravates me when people, a lot of times with the show, people hit me up, say, you need to do this, and this is wrong with you.
How the hell do you know?
Well, that's what, yeah. But the same goes for, if I am a devoted master astrologist, that's my thing. So it's one thing for me to practice that and use that as my channel to the field, but it's another thing for me to be, to be like overstate, or to try to sell it on other people or demand it of other people. You know, so this is interesting because
it's really interesting.
They're all valid. Every one of them's valid. And I love what you said about, you know, if it gets you to the field, and you know, that's the key.
That's the thing.
I'll see you in the field.
Yeah. Okay? And what happens is, you know, because I used to, no, in fact, no, I never resonated with any of these things. Really, I didn't. You know, it's like, I didn't learn this, I didn't learn that. I did become a Reiki master. That was lovely. But, you know, I never, you've got to put your hands here. It was like, no, the energy's pushing my hands around. Shut up, don't tell me what to do. That's really how it was. But what happens is, I think, the closer people get to themselves and the better they get at connecting to the field, the more they tend to put those tools down because they don't need them anymore.
Well, yeah.
Which is not poking at anybody who's like, but I love that. Fine, use it, bless it, it's awesome. And if you suddenly one day think, well, I wonder what would happen if I just sat down and connected with the field without this, or if I just said, well, what symbols would I see? You know, this. It is about the field. It really, that's where the information comes from. That's what you're connecting to when you're sitting there and that person's there and they've got a question you are reading their resonance. You are reading the potentials that are floating around in their quantum field. And then you sensing those are kind of, because you're not so close to them, you can see them a little bit clearer and you say, well, I can feel this in your energy. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you use cards, you use runes, you use crystals, whatever to help you, great. It's great for them as well. They get a picture to look at or a rock to hold or whatever. But just understand that's what we're really doing. We're working with the field.
Oh, you're funny. Yeah. It's good. It's always good talking to you. I would love to stay a little longer, but I've got to go feed the animals.
Well, the animals must be fed. We just have to do this again, Todd.
Yeah, we will. We will. We're making our way. We're putting some shows together for September. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still kind of discombobulated and decompressing.
Yeah, I can feel that, but it's actually good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm just going to do a 1 minute. It's not a reading. A 1 minute sensing. Because this feels important, and maybe I felt the request inherent in the question. It's not a request; it's an openness. You didn't ask, but you're open. It's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shedding, and that confusion.
It's a shitting.
That shedding is in letting go. Shedding.
Is it a shedding or a shitting?
You choose. But the shedding is incidental. The confusion and the discombobulation is actually because you are creating a new self, and the invitation is to be just a little bit more intentional about what you're calling in, which is interesting because really, but there is this feeling of just. It's like the feeling I have is just Todd, say a little bit more. I want that one. That would be fun. That one. I like that. But it's very playful. I think it's serious about
it. Oh, it is playful. No.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about that oversized tub upstairs in my friend's room.
Yeah. It's like have more fun. That's it. Have more fun with your creation. Have more fun because it's available to you. It really is. Yeah. Yeah. I can. That's it. That was all. So the confusion is the confusion means you're going someplace new.
Oh yeah. I like confusion.
Yes, it's good.
Confusion's a good sign. And I'm not really confused. I'm more like I don't know.
Discombobulated is a good word.
Walking around in a daze, basically.
Yeah.
So. But I haven't.
It's the chaos of creation.
Yeah, it is. So beautiful seeing you again.
It is. Absolute delight.
Collaborate again in the future for sure.
Yeah.
Keep going. You got your website up, right? You had it up last time you were on, right?
Oh yeah. My website's been there since 2009. Astonishing. What? 10 years? I mean, 2011. Oh God, I don't know.
I thought I remembered. Oh yeah, I can't remember. I can't even think about it. That's good.
Insight. Do you want to? ENSYTH.com. Or find me on Facebook, and it's actually there on my banner.
Oh, there you go.
It's there in my, in the little thing under your name, under your profile picture. It's there too, but people never seem to find it. I cannot understand why. Anyway, it's there.
Because we're all becoming very, like you said, you want to go from the 3D room to the 5D room. You're going to 3D room. You got to give up the identity of having short-term memory and logic and reason. We're moving into a quantum room, and so all that stuff's got to go.
We get to do both. That's the whole point.
Well, thank you for identifying that I was going through a shedding or a shitting. I think it's called a shitting, actually.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, you're doing a great job. Just from afar, I'm watching you and Morgan and thinking, oh my God, yeah, this is amazing. Just keep flowing with it. It's awesome.
I'll do it. Best to you and yours. You take care. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow.